is really about valuing yourself, right? So the second strategy is to really just remember who you are. And as long as you're acting in a way that you believe is right and that you're in line with what you value, just hold on to that and hold that space. Because if somebody says something negative to you, it doesn't mean that you have to take it as the truth. Now, one of the things that I do, I've learned this over time, and I can't even remember who I initially learned this from. Maybe it was Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the book, The Four Agreements, which if you haven't read that book, oh my gosh, please do. It's such an amazing book. And one of his number one points is don't take things personally. One of the things that I do when I'm in a situation with someone and they have something negative to say, rather than taking that as my truth, I just honor it to be their truth, right? If their perception is something negative, that's just their space. It doesn't have to be my space. I don't have to take that on, but I do honor that that's how they see life. And that just is what it is. So there's really sort of a separation there where you get to do you and I'll do me. And if you come at things from a negative space, I just allow that to be the way that you see the world. It's not necessarily my truth, but I honor that it's your truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think an example of that, and it's one that has become so much bigger now that because social media is involved, is just politics. People are, and I'm not going to get into politics on this at all, but I think it's interesting to look at how, it used to be there are a lot more people that were in the middle, that maybe didn't care so much about politics, but because it's been so jammed down our throat and people have taken sides, it is truly like one side against the other. And so it's interesting because people hold their political views so strong and their beliefs so strong and so like, I will never give up an inch to any other view, that's the way it's become. Whereas I think in the past, it used to be like you could have that conversation because things were a little bit more in the middle, but now they're just so far on each side that it makes it so much more difficult for people to even have, like they take offense so easy about political things and a lot of things. And there's just so much of it right now, especially with the election coming up this next year, it's even going to get worse. So, one of the intentional things to do, especially if you're somebody that holds your political beliefs true and you're not going to give that up, be intentional about possibly thinking about it in a different way and maybe not having such an attachment to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I didn't know you were going to go there to talk about politics, but it's really valuable to do that because there's such a polarization, which I truly believe is being driven by the media, right? Mainstream media is really creating, because of course, the more one side or the other that they go, the more the people will really jump onto that. But I want you to think about this. So when you think about the number 2 strategy, which is really valuing yourself, it's about kind of holding your ground, right? Standing in a place of power where if I were to criticize you about something that you didn't believe were true, you would not take offense to it. You'd blow it off. Right. So if I were to say your serve in tennis is really not that good.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, whatever. Because your serve.
Yeah, I'd say my serve's pretty good. I mean, I definitely could work on it, but I'm not going to take offense to it.
You're never going to take offense to that because he's got a monster serve and he's a lefty. So most people can't get past it at his level. So you're not going to take offense to that. But if I were to poke a hole somewhere where you actually had your own concerns internally about something, that's where you're much more likely to open up, get guarded, be offended. Like if I were to say something about an area of performance at work where you were just learning
Don't
about
even
something
go there.
New. Like how about, something technology related?
Don't even say that.
Yeah. You would totally like that if that's
when you're married, that's button pushing right there.
Wow.
Like it is. That's the other word for
yeah, but so think about this. I'm glad you brought this up.
Totally.
So can someone else push your buttons? And the answer is
yes.
No, you own your buttons. Like only what, if you allow them.
Like if that was true, then what you had said about my serve, that would be supposed to be a button that you could push. Like if you wanted to, but it's not. But I guess you know when they say what buttons can you push, you know the ones
I know
that
the
get the reaction.
sensitivities. Yeah,
Right.
I know the sensitivities that you have, and I know if I want to hurt you, I know what you would be hurt by. I know what you would take offense to.
Yeah.
So technically, yes, there's this whole button pushing, and you and I used to be really good at that with each other. But then, somewhere along the line, through enough reading, watching, listening, attending seminars, I decided I don't have buttons, right? And so it is much, much more difficult for you
it's no
these
fun
days.
anymore.
It's not as much fun. But really, like, we control our buttons. And if you have a button that you allow someone to push, meaning if there's a certain area that's a sensitive area for you and somebody brings that up, it gives you the right to be offended. I want you to consider that's you, that's not someone else.